The massive alien ship hung in Earth's orbit like a silver leaf, its surface catching sunlight in mesmerizing patterns. Inside the United Space Command Headquarters, Lieutenant John Mitchell straightened his uniform and took a deep breath. Today humans would meet aliens face to face for the first time. "Ready?" asked Dr. Lisa Harrington, her voice steady despite the historic moment they faced. "As ready as anyone can be to meet beings from another world," John replied. They entered the conference room where 5 representatives of the Galactic Council waited. The tallest aliens, the Zolteri, stood nearly 9 feet tall with iridescent scaled skin and 4 arms. Their ambassador, Krovex, tilted his elongated head when the humans entered. "Ah, the Earth representatives arrive," Krovex said, his translator converting his clicks and whistles into English. "Please, come closer. Many of our council members have never seen a human before." John and Lisa approached the table, aware of how small they appeared next to these massive beings. One of the aliens, a bulky creature covered in what looked like natural armor plates, reached out and patted Lisa's head. "So soft," the alien said. "And no natural defenses at all. How fascinating that you've survived this long." Lisa forced a smile while moving away from the unwelcome touch. "We compensate in other ways." Krovex gestured to seats that were clearly too large for the humans. "We are pleased to welcome Earth to the galactic community, though you are quite primitive by our standards." "Our technology is advancing rapidly," John said firmly. "We've developed faster than light travel independently." A ripple of sounds that might have been laughter moved through the aliens. "Yes, your single FTL vessel is quite the achievement for such young ones," Krovex said, "like watching a child take its first steps." The meeting continued for hours. The Galactic Council offered Earth limited trading rights and cultural exchange, but refused their request for military alliance or advanced technology. "You need our protection, not our weapons," Krovex explained. "The galaxy contains dangers your species cannot imagine." Lisa leaned forward. "We've faced extinction-level events and survived. Humans are adaptable and resourceful." "Indeed," said one of the smaller aliens who resembled a walking plant. "We find your species quite adorable in your confidence." Later that day, as they left the meeting with only a Class D, protected species designation instead of the equal partnership they had hoped for, John's face was tight with frustration. "They think we're pets," he muttered. "Worse," Lisa said, showing him her tablet. She had managed to access some of the aliens' data during the meeting. "Look at this classification report. They've labeled Earth as a charming curiosity with minimal strategic value. They believe we need guidance and supervision like children." Back on the Zolteri ship, Krovex discussed the humans with his fellow council members. "Such delicate creatures," the armored alien said. "No claws, weak muscles, fragile bones. It's amazing they've achieved spaceflight. They are clever, though," Krovex admitted. "We should monitor them closely. They might make amusing additions to the Council someday, in a few hundred years." "Did you see how earnestly they requested military alliance?" The plant-like alien waved its fronds in amusement, as if these soft little beings could contribute anything to galactic security. 6 months passed with more diplomatic meetings, each one leaving the human representatives feeling increasingly patronized. The aliens treated Earth like a quaint village, fascinating to visit but not to be taken seriously. What the Galactic Council didn't realize was that in a secret facility beneath the Pacific Ocean, Dr. Peter Grimes was making a discovery that would change everything. As he studied alien biological samples provided during cultural exchange, he noticed something unusual about how certain neural patterns interacted with human brainwaves. "This is incredible," he whispered, staring at his results. The dangerous creature tissue was responding to human neural signals in a way the aliens had documented as impossible. He picked up his secure phone to call Commander Susan Wells. The Galactic Council thought humans were cute and harmless. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Dr. Peter Grimes stood in the dimly lit lab beneath the Pacific Ocean, staring at the giant container. Inside floated what the Zolteri called a void stalker, a predatory space creature that struck fear into even the most advanced alien species. It was 10 feet of midnight black muscle, curved teeth, and glowing purple veins. Its 6 eyes were closed in forced sleep. "Are you sure about this?" Commander Susan Wells asked, her hand resting on her sidearm. "The numbers don't lie," Peter said, checking his neural interface. "The alien data shows these creatures resist all known forms of control. But our brainwaves, they're different." Susan frowned. "The Zolteri would never approve of these tests." "The Zolteri think we're puppies," Peter replied, his voice hard. "Time to show them we have teeth." The team of 5 scientists and 3 security personnel watched as Peter placed the neural cap on his head. Small lights blinked across its surface as it connected to his mind. Peter nodded to the technician, who began lowering the sedative levels in the tank. "If this goes wrong, we flood the chamber with nerve gas," Susan reminded everyone. The creature's eyes flickered open one by one, glowing purple in the murky water. It sensed it was trapped and immediately thrashed against the reinforced glass. Everyone except Peter stepped back. Peter closed his eyes and focused. The neural interface hummed, sending his brainwaves toward the creature. At first, nothing happened except the void stalker grew more agitated, its claws scratching the glass. Then suddenly, it stopped. The creature floated in the tank, all 6 eyes fixed on Peter. A strange purplish light passed between Peter's neural cap and the creature's head. "I can feel it," Peter whispered, sweat beading on his forehead. Anger, hunger, confusion, but also curiosity. Susan watched in amazement as Peter raised his hand slowly. The creature mirrored the movement with one of its front limbs. "Impossible," whispered one of the scientists. For 20 minutes, Peter maintained the connection, guiding the creature through simple movements. When he finally broke the connection, he stumbled backward, exhausted but smiling. "It worked," he gasped. "The connection is real." Later that night, Susan and Peter sat in her office reviewing the data. The void stalker had been returned to full sedation while they analyzed the results. "According to all Galactic Council records, these creatures are untamable," Susan said. "Even the most advanced species have failed to control them." Peter nodded excitedly. "That's what makes this so incredible. Something about human neural patterns allows for a connection the aliens can't achieve." "But why?" "My theory. Adaptability," Peter explained. "The Council species have been spacefaring for millennia. They're specialized and stable. Humans are evolutionary wildcards. Our brains are still highly plastic, able to form new connections and adapt to new inputs." Susan considered this. "If we can bond with void stalkers, we can probably bond with other space creatures too." Peter finished her thought. "Creatures the Council fears." The next morning, Susan brought the findings to Admiral Greg Porter. He listened quietly, his weathered face revealing nothing. "You understand what this means?" Susan asked when she finished. The Admiral nodded slowly. "It means we have options we didn't have before. The Zolteri and the Council think we're helpless," Susan said. "This could change everything." Admiral Porter stood and looked out the window at the ocean above them. "Start Project Symbiosis immediately. Keep it completely classified. I want to know what other creatures we can bond with." Over the next weeks, Peter worked tirelessly with the Void Stalker. He named it Shadow and strengthened their mental bond each day. Soon, he could command it with just thoughts. The creature that terrified advanced alien species followed Peter like a loyal pet. When Peter walked Shadow through the underwater facility on a special neural leash, even hardened security personnel stepped back in awe and fear. On the surface, diplomatic meetings with the Galactic Council continued. The aliens still patted humans on the head and spoke of protecting the cute species. They had no idea what was growing beneath the waves. 6 months after Peter's first successful bond with Shadow, Project Symbiosis moved to a larger facility buried deep within Europa, Jupiter's icy moon. Admiral Laura Gardner stood at the observation window, watching as 30 humans worked with various space creatures in the massive training arena below. "Impressive progress," she said to Commander Susan Wells. Susan nodded. "We've discovered different humans have different affinities for certain creatures." In the arena, Marine Frank Rodriguez worked with a massive red-orange beast called a magma behemoth. The creature, nearly 20 feet tall with volcanic-like skin and armor plates, moved through obstacle courses following Frank's mental commands. "Rodriguez has the strongest bond with the armored species," Susan explained. "His mind connects with creatures that have protective instincts." Nearby, scientist Kate Monroe sat cross-legged before 3 floating, jellyfish-like creatures. They glowed with soft blue light and seemed to dance around her in perfect harmony. And Monroe. She connects with telepathic species like these void whispers. They're usually impossible to approach. They read minds and flee at the first sign of danger. But Kate's mind somehow feels safe to them. Admiral Gardner watched a failed bonding attempt where a technician struggled to connect with a plant-based creature. The alien life form shrank away, breaking the neural link. "Not everyone can bond," Susan said. "We're still learning the parameters. About 1 in 20 humans has the gift, and even then, they can usually only bond with specific creature types." In his workshop nearby, Chief Engineer Daniel Torres made adjustments to a sleek helmet. Unlike the bulky neural caps used earlier, these new interfaces were streamlined and powerful. "Torres has revolutionized our equipment," Susan said as they walked into his lab. "The new neural helmets amplify the bonding signal and allow more precise control." Daniel looked up from his work. "Admiral, the Mark III helmets also translate the creature's sensory input directly to the human brain. Our bonded pairs can now share what they see and feel." "Can the Galactic Council detect these bonds?" the Admiral asked. Susan shook her head. "The neural links operate on frequencies the aliens don't monitor. To them, these creatures would still appear wild." Their conversation was interrupted by an alarm. On a monitor, they watched a security feed from an asteroid mining operation near Mars. Pirates were attacking the human freighter. "Those aren't Council-sanctioned ships," Daniel said. "Probably Drakari raiders. They don't respect the protection zones." Admiral Gardner's face hardened. "How quickly can we deploy?" "Rodriguez and his behemoth are combat-ready," Susan answered. "We've been running drills." "Send them. Quietly. Make it look like an unfortunate accident for the pirates." 12 hours later, they watched the footage. The pirate ships had cornered the human freighter when an unmarked transport appeared. When its doors opened, Frank Rodriguez emerged wearing battle armor and a neural helmet. Behind him, the magma behemoth unfolded its massive body. The pirates fired, but their weapons barely scratched the creature's natural armor. Frank and the behemoth leaped across open space between the ships. The creature's fiery claws tore through the pirate's hull like paper. "The Council would consider this impossible," Susan said as they watched the behemoth systematically disable 3 pirate ships without destroying them. "Keep this contained," Admiral Gardner ordered. "As far as anyone knows, the pirates had a drive malfunction." 2 days later, a Zoltari representative named Zeltor arrived for a scheduled inspection of Earth's defenses. Lieutenant John Mitchell showed him the standard military facilities, carefully avoiding any mention of Europa or the bonding program. "Your weapons are so quaint," Zeltor said, examining a fusion cannon. "But don't worry, the Council protects you now." "We're grateful for your concern," John replied with a carefully neutral expression. As Zeltor patted John's shoulder condescendingly, a message appeared on John's secure tablet. "Operation Symbiosis, Phase 2 APROV'd." John smiled slightly as Zeltor continued explaining galactic politics to him like he was a child. The aliens still thought humans were harmless. That illusion wouldn't last much longer. The emergency alarm blared throughout United Space Command headquarters. Admiral Laura Gardner rushed into the command center where screens showed 3 human colonies on the edge of solar space under attack. "What's happening?" she demanded. Drakari War Fleet, Lieutenant Owen Parker reported. They've hit New Hope, Titan Base, and Ganymede Colony simultaneously. The Galactic Council's response. They say it's a minor border dispute and not worth direct intervention. Owen's voice was bitter. They've offered to evacuate survivors after the Drakari leave. So much for being a protected species, Admiral Gardner muttered. She stared at the tactical display, showing hundreds of Drakari ships overwhelming human defenses. Standard weapons weren't working. Their colonies were dying. She activated her secure comm. This is Admiral Gardner. Initiate Operation Nightmare. Authorization code Alpha Zulu 9 to 7 Delta. Commander Susan Wells responded immediately. Ma'am, are you sure? Once we reveal the program. Our people are dying, Commander. Launch all available units. On Europa Base, alarms sounded as the hidden hangar doors opened for the first time. Captain Eric Martin strapped into his neural helmet and climbed onto the back of his bonded creature, a star leviathan named Titan. The creature was over 50 feet long with a sleek body designed for space travel and combat. Its skin shimmered with cosmic energy that could disrupt enemy shields. All riders prepare for launch, Eric ordered through his comm. Behind him, 20 other humans mounted their bonded creatures. Frank Rodriguez and his magma behemoth, Kate Monroe with 3 void whispers orbiting her head, and others with creatures the galaxy had never seen tamed. The launch doors opened to space. Eric patted Titan's neck. Let's show the galaxy what humans can do. Titan roared and shot forward, leading the charge of human-monster pairs out of Europa and toward the jump point. Near the colony of New Hope, the Drakari commander Vrex watched with satisfaction as his ships bombarded the human settlement. His orders were clear: test the humans' defenses and the Council's resolve to protect them. Pathetic resistance, Vrex said to his second-in-command. The Council was right. These humans are weak. Commander, his sensor officer called out. Strange readings coming from Sector 7. The space around them rippled as 20 jump portals opened. What emerged made the hardened Drakari warriors step back from their screens. Humans riding space monsters charged toward them. Leading them was a massive star leviathan, a creature Vrex had only seen in historical records of ancient galactic predators. Its human rider directed it with precise movements as it unleashed a beam of cosmic energy that cut through a Drakari cruiser. Impossible, Vrex whispered. Those creatures cannot be tamed. More monsters followed. Magma behemoths latched onto ships, tearing through hulls with molten claws. Void whispers drifted through solid metal, disabling systems from inside. Shadow stalkers moved between ships faster than weapons could track. And controlling them all were the small, harmless humans the galaxy had dismissed. A Zoltari diplomatic vessel was observing the Drakari attack from a safe distance. Ambassador Krovex watched in horror as creatures from galactic nightmares obeyed human commands with perfect precision. Record everything, he ordered his crew. The Council must see this. Eric and Titan moved in perfect sync, their minds joined as one. Through their neural link, Eric could feel the rush of space against Titan's skin, could sense enemy ships before they appeared on scanners. Form up on me, he commanded the other riders. We'll drive them away from the colony. Working together, the human-monster teams trapped the Drakari between them. After losing a third of their fleet in minutes, Vrex ordered a full retreat. As the last Drakari ships fled, Eric guided Titan in a victory circle around the colony. Below, the human settlers who had expected to die watched in awe as their saviors. Humans riding the most feared creatures in the galaxy patrolled their skies. In his command chair, Ambassador Krovex sent an urgent message to the Galactic Council. Emergency session required. The humans are not what we thought. They have become something terrifying. The Galactic Council chamber was in chaos. Representatives from 200 species shouted over each other as footage of humans riding space monsters played on the giant screens. In the center of it all stood Ambassador Alan Powell, the lone human in the room, calmly waiting for order. The council leader, a massive six-armed Zolteri named Grand Minister Xalvor, finally restored quiet with a thundering slam of his ceremonial staff. "Explain this," he demanded of Powell. "How are humans controlling these creatures? What technology are you hiding?" Ambassador Powell smiled slightly. "No hidden technology, Grand Minister, just human adaptability." "Lies," shouted a Drakari representative. "Our fleet was decimated by creatures that cannot be tamed. The humans must have developed mind control devices." Powell shook his head. "We developed a natural neural bond. Something about human brains allows us to connect with these beings in ways other species cannot." "Impossible," whispered a scientist from the plant-like Florani race. "We have studied these predators for centuries. Their minds reject all attempts at control." Powell gestured to the door. Perhaps a demonstration would help. The doors opened, and Lieutenant Olivia Carter entered. Beside her floated a nebula wraith, a cloud-like creature with dozens of glowing tendrils and eyes that shimmered like distant stars. Many council members gasped and backed away. Nebula wraiths were known to feed on neural energy. "This is Spectre," Olivia said calmly. "We've been bonded for 8 months. Keep that thing contained," ordered Xalvor. "Spectre is not contained," Olivia replied. "He's here by choice, as am I." To prove her point, Olivia removed her neural helmet. The wraith remained perfectly calm beside her. She placed her hand on its misty surface, and the creature's colors shifted from blue to purple. "Our connection works with or without the helmet now," she explained. "The bond becomes permanent over time." She closed her eyes, and the wraith's form began to envelop her. Council members cried out in alarm, but Powell raised his hand for calm. "Watch," he said simply. Olivia's body became partially transparent as she merged with the wraith. Her eyes opened, now glowing with the same starry light as the creature's. "We can join consciousness," she said, her voice ethereal and echoing. "I can see as Spectre sees, feel as he feels." The council chamber fell completely silent. "How many?" Xalvor finally asked, his voice subdued. "We've bonded with 23 species of space-dwelling creatures so far," Powell answered, "including some you thought were just legends." Footage appeared on the screens, humans riding enormous crystal-winged beings through asteroid fields, humans swimming alongside tentacled giants in the methane oceans of Titan, humans communing with living shadows that could phase through solid matter. "This changes everything," said the Florani scientist, their leaves trembling. "The power balance of the galaxy." "We don't seek dominance," Powell assured them. "Only partnership, equal partnership." As the meeting continued, news spread across galactic channels. Footage of humans commanding space monsters played on repeat. Species that had once viewed humans as cute curiosities now watched with growing fear. On 3 planets, alien representatives to Earth requested immediate evacuation. On dozens more, military alerts were raised. Grand Minister Xalvor called for an executive session of the Council's Security Committee after the demonstration. "The humans must be contained," argued a Drakari general. "Their abilities make them too dangerous." "They defeated your attack fleet," pointed out a Meridian diplomat. "Containment may no longer be possible." Xalvor studied the reports before him. "Effective immediately. Humans are reclassified from Class D protected species to Class A evolutionary anomaly. All member species are advised to approach with extreme caution." He looked at the image of Olivia merged with her wraith. "We must also demand oversight of their bonding program. If they contain nebula wraiths and star leviathans, what else might they bond with?" As the council deliberated, Powell and Olivia returned to the human embassy. Admiral Gardner was waiting for them on secure comm. "How did they take it?" she asked. Powell smiled grimly. "They're terrified. Exactly as we expected." "Good," said Gardner. "No more treating us like pets. It's time for a new relationship with the galaxy, one based on respect." Olivia nodded as specters swirled around her shoulders. I think they finally understand. Humans aren't cute anymore. The human delegation sat on one side of the massive table in the diplomatic chamber. The Galactic Council representatives sat on the other. The air between them was thick with tension. We will not accept oversight of our bonding program, said Admiral Laura Gardner firmly. It is a matter of human security. Grand Minister Xalvor's scales rippled with irritation. You have tamed creatures that terrorize the galaxy. The Council has a right to monitor such dangerous activities. The same Council that called us cute and refused us equal partnership, Ambassador Powell asked with raised eyebrows. The same Council that offered minimal help when the Dracari attacked our colonies. Xalvor looked uncomfortable. The situation has evolved. Indeed it has, Admiral Gardner agreed, as has humanity's position. Back on Europa base, the bonding program was expanding rapidly. In a special nursery section, Dr. Peter Grimes watched as a young woman named Kelly Bennett sat with 5 baby shadow stalkers. The creatures, each the size of a large dog, crawled over her lap while she spoke softly to them. The juveniles bond much more deeply than adults, Peter explained to Commander Susan Wells. Their neural patterns are still forming, so they adapt perfectly to their human partner. Susan nodded, watching the young woman and creatures playing together. And the connection is stronger. Exponentially, Kelly can communicate with all 5 simultaneously. They're like extensions of her own body now. In another section of the facility, Major Nickel Patol was organizing the first human monster legion. Humans and their bonded creatures were grouped into specialized units based on creature abilities. The strike force featured humans riding swift, agile predators like void stalkers and nebula gliders. The heavy assault team paired with massive creatures like magma behemoths and star leviathans. The infiltration squad bonded with creatures that could phase through matter or disguise themselves. We're creating battle tactics no one in the galaxy has ever seen, Nicole explained to Admiral Gardner during her inspection. Most species build their strategies around technology. We're combining technology with biological abilities no ship can match. Across the galaxy, news about humans and their monster companions spread quickly. Some alien species cut off diplomatic relations with Earth. Others began secretly reaching out with offers of alliance. The Meridians have offered us access to their deep space territories, Ambassador Powell reported during a secure meeting. They want protection from Dracari expansion, and the Florani are willing to trade information about 12 new creature species, added Lieutenant John Mitchell. They say these beings are even more dangerous than what we've bonded with so far. Be careful, warned Dr. Lisa Harrington. Some species may be trying to manipulate us into conflicts that benefit them. On the Zolteri homeworld, a radical faction was growing increasingly concerned about human power. Their leader, Commander Vextrol, gathered his followers in a hidden facility. These humans must be stopped before they grow too powerful, he told them. Our scientists have developed a virus that targets the neural connections between humans and their creatures. His second-in-command looked worried. The Council has not authorized this. The Council is too afraid to act. Vextrol hissed. We will save our civilization from these monster tamers. The virus was smuggled onto a diplomatic vessel bound for Earth. 3 days later, alarms blared through Europa base as creatures began showing signs of neural distress. Their bond patterns are degrading, Peter reported urgently as Kelly's shadow stalkers whimpered in pain. Something is attacking the neural link itself. Chief Engineer Daniel Torres worked day and night analyzing the virus. It's artificially created, he finally announced, designed specifically to break the human-creature bond. This was a deliberate attack. Admiral Gardner's face was grim as she looked at the suffering creatures and their human partners. Can you fix it? Daniel smiled slightly. Already working on it. The virus targets specific neural pathways, but human brains are adaptable. We can reroute the connections. Within 48 hours, the bonds were restored, stronger than before. The virus that was meant to break humanity's new power had only made it more resilient. In her office, Admiral Gardner composed a message to the Galactic Council. An attempt has been made to attack our bonding program. We consider this an act of war. Those responsible will be identified and held accountable. The message was clear. Humans were no longer to be trifled with. The emergency alert woke Admiral Laura Gardner from a deep sleep. She rushed to the command center where worried faces greeted her. "What's happening?" she demanded. Lieutenant Owen Parker pointed to the main screen showing strange energy readings spreading across 3 star systems. They're calling them Void Harbingers, ancient species supposedly extinct for millions of years. The screen showed massive cloud-like entities that pulsed with dark energy. They moved between planets, consuming all energy they encountered. Ships that approached them simply disappeared. "How bad?" Gardner asked. "They've already consumed 2 uninhabited systems," Owen replied. "Now they're approaching the Zoltari home system." Gardner's eyebrows rose. The Zoltari. Ironic. A message alert flashed on screen. Grand Minister Xalvor himself was calling Earth directly, something that had never happened before. "Admiral Gardner," Xalvor said when his image appeared. The usually proud Zoltari looked shaken. "Our weapons have no effect on the Harbingers. 3 defense fleets have been lost already." "That's unfortunate," Gardner replied calmly. "How can Earth assist?" Xalvor's scales rippled with obvious discomfort. "We request your help. Your bonded creatures might be effective where our technology has failed." Gardner kept her expression neutral despite the satisfaction she felt. "I'll need to consult with my team. These Harbingers are unfamiliar to us." After ending the call, Gardner summoned her senior staff. Dr. Peter Grimes arrived looking excited. "We've been studying the Harbinger readings," he said. "They're pure energy beings, no physical form to attack, which means our conventional forces would be useless," Gardner noted. But Peter continued with a smile. "We've been working with a rare species called cosmic nullifiers. They feed on the same type of energy the Harbingers produce." Commander Susan Wells nodded. "We started bonding with them last month. We have 5 pairs trained." "Enough to make a difference?" Gardner asked. "Maybe," Susan said. "General Ryan Clark is our best nullifier rider. His creature, Vortex, is the strongest." Gardner made her decision. "Tell the Zoltari we'll help, but on our terms. Full partnership in the Galactic Council, not just membership, and acknowledgement of our sovereign rights to continue the bonding program without oversight." 3 days later, General Ryan Clark led a small fleet to the edge of Zoltari space. 5 humans rode their bonded cosmic nullifiers, creatures that looked like swirling black holes with glowing blue lightning dancing across their surfaces. Each was the size of a small shuttle and pulsed with contained energy. Alongside them flew 20 other human monster pairs as support. The Zoltari watched from their ships as the human force approached the advancing Void Harbingers. "Remember," Ryan told his team through the neural link they all shared, "these creatures are pure energy. Our nullifiers can absorb them, but it will take time. The rest of you, protect us while we work." The battle was like nothing the galaxy had ever seen. The 5 nullifier riders positioned themselves in a pentagon formation, facing the leading edge of the Harbinger swarm. The creatures opened their maw-like centers, beginning to draw in the energy of the ancient beings. The Harbingers sensed the threat and attacked. Tendrils of dark energy lashed out, trying to break through the human formation. This is where the supporting creatures proved their worth. Star Leviathans created energy shields with their bodies. Void Whispers disrupted the Harbingers' communication. Shadow Stalkers intercepted attacking tendrils. Ryan and Vortex pushed forward into the densest part of the swarm. Through their bond, Ryan could feel the strain as his creature absorbed more and more energy. Pain shot through their shared consciousness, but he refused to retreat. "Keep going," he encouraged his partner. "We can do this." From the Zoltari flagship, Grand Minister Xalvor watched in awe as the humans and their monsters drove into the heart of a threat his entire civilization couldn't face. The creatures that had once been dismissed as cute and helpless were now the only hope for his people's survival. Perhaps, he said quietly to his aide, we have been wrong about humans all along. Ryan's mind burned with the effort of maintaining the bond as Vortex consumed another harbinger. But slowly, visibly, the swarm was shrinking as the nullifiers did their work. 6 months after the Void Harbinger crisis, the Great Hall of the Galactic Council looked very different. Human representatives no longer sat on small chairs at the back of the room. Now they occupied a prominent position at the main table. Most noticeable was the change in how other species interacted with them. Gone were the head pats and condescending tones. In their place was cautious respect. Admiral Laura Gardner stood before the assembly, her uniform crisp and her face composed. Beside her stood General Ryan Clark, still recovering from the neural strain of the battle but standing tall. The last of the harbingers have been contained, she reported. The combined human-monster teams have established patrols in the affected sectors to ensure they don't return. Grand Minister Xalvar nodded solemnly. The Zoltari people owe humanity a debt we cannot repay. Without your intervention, our homeworld would have been lost. Gardner allowed herself a small smile. We are pleased to have helped. As fellow members of the Galactic Council, it was our duty. The formal meeting concluded with the signing of the new charter, one that classified humans as a full partner species with all rights and privileges. As the representatives filed out, many approached the humans with questions and offers of cooperation. In a quiet moment, Xalvar approached Gardner. I must ask, how did your kind develop these abilities? In all our history, we never imagined such bonds were possible. Gardner considered her answer carefully. Perhaps because you never had to. Your species achieved space travel early and relied on technology. Humans had to adapt and find unexpected solutions. Xalvar's scales shifted in the Zoltari equivalent of a thoughtful nod. You were underestimated. It will not happen again. On Earth, the changes were equally dramatic. Lieutenant Colonel Ashley Blake led the newly established Galactic Bonding Academy. Aliens from 15 different species had applied to learn human techniques. Remember, Ashley told a class of mixed species, the bond is based on mutual respect. The creatures are partners, not tools. A young Zoltari student raised his hand. But how do you control them when they're so much more powerful? We don't control them, Ashley explained patiently. We connect with them. That's what most species miss. The moment you try to control, the bond fails. The student looked confused, but tried again with the small void creature in front of him. This time, he focused on connection rather than control. The creature's eyes blinked with interest. Across the solar system, human colonies flourished with their monster guardians. On the streets of the Mars settlement, children played while shadow stalkers prowled overhead, keeping watch. In the oceans of Europa, humans swam alongside gentle giants that had once been feared throughout the galaxy. Captain Eric Martin stood on the observation deck of his ship, the Titan's Reach, named after his star Leviathan partner. As they approached the jump point for a new exploration mission, he felt Titan's excitement through their bond. New stars to see, Eric said aloud, knowing Titan could feel his thoughts. The massive creature floated alongside the ship, its body shimmering with cosmic energy. A passing alien vessel gave them a wide berth. Eric noticed how they adjusted course to maintain extra distance. He was used to it now. The mixture of fear and respect that humans had earned. On a small world at the edge of known space, a Zoltari father and his child watched the human ship and its monster companion pass by. Are they dangerous? The child asked, his scales fluttering nervously. The father thought about the question. He had been at the Battle of Zoltari Prime. He had seen the humans dive into the heart of the Harbinger swarm when his own people fled. They are powerful, he answered carefully, but they are also protectors. The galaxy feared these creatures for millennium. Only humans could see them differently. Why weren't humans afraid? The child asked. That, said the father, is what makes humans special. They don't just tame monsters, they understand them. What was nightmare fuel for the galaxy became humanity's greatest strength. As if hearing the conversation, the star Leviathan turned its massive head toward their small observation post. The human captain raised his hand in a peaceful greeting before their ship jumped away in a flash of light, bound for new discoveries with their monster companions at their side.